come to kill the demons. He can give a little heart attack to the demon and he'll be finished. So, mainly, the Lord comes to the material world to please his devotees, wants to have loving reciprocation with them. And also, the Supreme Lord has a very important task to make sure that in Kali Yuga we don't spend all of our time on WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, but we he wants to make sure that we open Ramayana book to read his pastimes, and that's why something that Lord Ram could have done straight in one moment, he could have popped off the 10 heads of Ravan and killed him himself, but he didn't do that. He built this amazing Leela, where we see that Ram is getting exiled for 14 years under a conspiracy. Ravan kidnapping Sita, Ram building a bridge with the help of the monkeys, and Ram fighting with Ravan with his monkey army. So this entire Leela was built. And Lord has given us this Ramayana, which is filled with adventure, action, drama, comedy, romance, mysticism, all that we are looking for when we are trying to watch a movie. But the difference between Ramayana and an ordinary movie is that Ramayana is a story of Lord Ram, and anything connected to the Lord is all purifying. Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayanto Sohe Badrani Vidunoti Suratsatam. That when we hear about Lord's pastimes, then it cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from our hearts. It removes all the badras, all the anarthas. And Krishna Katha it relieves us of all sinful reactions. Just sitting in a Katha, hearing about the Lord, it diminishes our bad karma, and it gives us transcendental knowledge. It provides life lessons that we can implement in our day-to-day life to become a better devotee. But on the contrary, watching movies, it's an ordinary movie. It's a waste of time. We don't learn anything good. On the contrary, watching such movies, it increases the fire of material desires in our heart. It makes our consciousness fall down. One scene that Ajamil saw in the forest with the Shudra and Shudrani embracing, that made him to do so many sinful activities, and there are all such scenes going on in the movies and the TV. So we should be careful of what we watch, what we hear. So Lord Ram has hidden many life lessons in the pastimes of Ramayana, and these pastimes can be understood at different levels. For example, Ram being sent to exile for 14 years in the forest. How do we understand that? Why this happened? So there are multiple perspectives. So one of the perspectives is that Lord wants to teach a lesson to the world. So we know that in Ayodhya, Dashrath had 3 wives. Kaushalya is the mother of Ram, Kaikeyi is the mother of Bharat, and Sumitra is the mother of Lakshman and Shatrughan. And Kaikeyi was the youngest wife of Dashrath, and she was most beautiful. And there's a character called Manthara, who was a hunchback maid servant of Kaikeyi. She was a hunchback, and that's why people would joke at her, they would tease her. But this joking and teasing had stopped since the time Manthara had become the maid servant of Kaikeyi. So when Manthara found out that Ram is being crowned as a king, she feared that now Ram's mother Kaushalya will become the king's favorite queen, and that would mean that this would downgrade Kaikeyi's position. And if Kaikeyi's position is downgraded, Manthara is thinking that would downgrade my position. And she feared that again people will start joking upon her because of her hunchback. So Manthara had a hidden agenda. She went to Kaikeyi and she started corrupting her mind. And we know that Kaikeyi, she absolutely loved Ram and Sita like her own children. She was not at all into politics. When Lord Ram and Sita had married, she gave them her own palace, Kaikeyi. Her palace was the most beautiful palace in Ayodhya. So Manthara, she went to Kaikeyi to corrupt her mind, and she cooked up a story, and she told Kaikeyi that, if Ram becomes the king, Kaushalya will become the Rajmata, and then you will have to sit at her feet and serve her like a maid servant. And Ram will see Bharat as a threat, and finding some pretext, he will have Bharat arrested and he may also execute him. So all of this, Kekai is she's cooking up this story. So hearing all of this, Kekai's heart got changed, and there were feelings of envy and greed and desire for power that arose in her. And so we know that, Kekai went to Dashrath and to fulfill her two boons that she had gotten previously. One of the boons was that to send Ram to the forest for 14 years, and second boon was to make her son Bharat as a king. So this one incident caused so much havoc in Ayodhya that Dashrath Maharaj could not withstand separation from Lord Ram, and he died. And the Ayodhya Vasis, they were crying in separation from the Lord. So Lord Ram is teaching us a lesson from this pastime, that we have to be very careful of who we hear from, who we associate with. So we hear that, Asat Sanga Tyag e Vaishnavachar. That devotees should avoid the association of non-devotees at all cost. Especially, we should not hear blasphemy or criticism of the Lord or the devotees from anyone. When we hear criticism of others, it destroys our faith in them, and that may destroy our faith in bhakti process altogether. So we see that here Manthara was appearing like a well-wisher of Kekai, but she had a hidden agenda, and she wanted to secure her own position. So we too have many people who seem to be our well-wishers, and they give us suggestions, but they end up coming in between us and our actual well-wishers. Who are our actual well-wishers? It is the devotees are our actual well-wishers. So when there are suggestions from friends and family members, they may say, "Oh, why you're doing so much? Why you're into so much Krishna consciousness? Now you're young. You should focus on economic development, building your family. Otherwise, you'll become too detached. Like that. So maybe when you become old, you can take it more seriously, like that." So there can be suggestions from friends and family members like that. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if I seek the path leading to the absolute truth, then I must ignore the countless voices of popular wisdom and listen only to that of the realized souls. So we should hear only from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And then we should not associate even with those devotees who are criticizing others, and they're talking about what is happening in others' lives. Krishna says, Mak chitta madgata pran bodhayanta parasparam. Kathayanta shamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. That my devotees, when they meet, they should only talk about me. They should converse about me, enlighten one another about me. So that's all. We should talk about Krishna. So that is one lesson. One perspective of Lord's pastimes is he wants to teach us a lesson. The second perspective is from Leela point of view. So we had many demigods and sages in the forest who were tormented by demons, and they prayed to the Lord to incarnate to kill these demons. So to facilitate the killing of the demons, Lord had to go to the forest, and that's why he was exiled. And so for this, demigods, they employed Mother Saraswati, who sat on the tongue of Manthara and made her speak those words to Kekai. And so we often, regard Manthara and Kekai as evil characters in Ramayana, but actually they were used by the Lord as a puppet so that this Leela would happen. And Lord Ram, he also wanted to, when he went to the forest, he wanted to have personal association with so many devotees who were waiting there for his mercy. Like we have Shabri, Guha, the sages in the forest, Sugriv, Hanuman, like that. And also we see that later on when Sita is kidnapped, Lord, he seeks help from Hanuman, Sugriv, and the monkeys. The Supreme Lord is all-powerful. Why does he need help from others for anything? But we see that Lord does that in order to glorify his devotees. He wants to give credit to his devotees, like how Krishna made Arjuna the hero of Mahabharata, Ram made Hanuman the hero of Ramayana. And he also is showing that my devotee is even greater than me. Hanuman could fly across the ocean, while Lord Ram, he had to build the bridge to go to Lanka. So Lord wants to glorify his devotees. That's one perspective. And the third perspective is spiritual understanding of why Lord Ram had to go to the forest on exile. Well, Lord Ram, he is Karuna Avatar. He's showing mercy to the demigods by killing the demons, and he's also showing mercy to the demons by killing them with their own hands, because whoever is killed by the Lord, he gets liberation. And he's also showing mercies to the Ayodhya Vasis by giving them what is called Vipralambha Seva, love and service in separation. So we see whatever Lord does is all auspicious for everyone. So what is this Vipralambha Seva? So one Acharya says that when there is union, the devotee sees the Lord in front of him and he feels great joy. But then when there is separation, he cannot see the Lord with his eyes and he feels great separation. He's lamenting, he's hankering to see the Lord. Oh, when will I see Krishna? And their lolium, their greed is increasing. This hankering is increasing. So devotee, he becomes transcendently mad, and then he starts to see Krishna everywhere. So this is called Vipralamba Bhav, love in separation. So like the gopis, we have the example when they were performing Ras Leela with Krishna. Somehow these gopis developed pride that Krishna, I'm so beautiful, I'm so Krishna is with me only. So Krishna detected this pride in the gopis and he left the Ras Leela. And then we see that gopis are becoming mad, searching for Krishna. And in their madness, transcendental madness, they are thinking of Krishna's pastimes and they are enacting Krishna's pastimes. One of the gopis became Kali, a serpent, and another gopi became Krishna and was dancing on top of the head of one gopi, and one gopi was lifting her veil like Krishna was lifting Govardhan. So they were enacting Krishna's pastimes. They were standing like Krishna in the threefold bending form, laughing and smiling like him. They had forgotten themselves, and this is called transcendental madness. And then when Krishna returned, these gopis, they asked Krishna, what kind of lover are you, Krishna, that you don't reciprocate with us? Why did you leave us? We left everything for you. Why did you leave us? So Krishna says that the reason I don't immediately reciprocate the affection of my devotees is because I want to intensify the loving devotion. Then they become like a poor man who has gained some wealth and then lost it. And then he becomes so anxious to get back his wealth that he can not think of anything else. So like that, Krishna, he gives us some transcendental joy in some service that we do for Krishna. Sometimes when we chant or in kirtan or in some retreat, we get some, we get experience of some transcendental ecstasy. But after that, after some time, it goes away. But then we keep on hankering to get back that experience. How I was feeling, I want to experience that same thing. So that increases our greed, our lolium, to get back that experience. And that the scriptures say that this lolium, that this greed is the only price to enter into the spiritual world. So throughout Ramayana, we see that there is an intense emotion of Karuna Ras. There is transcendental sorrow in separation. There are many characters in Ramayana who are crying. Dashrath Maharaj is crying for Ram. Bharat is crying for Ram. When Sita is kidnapped, Ram is crying for Sita. Sita is sitting in a Ashok Vatika is crying for Lord Ram. Like that, many characters are crying. And, this is in line with the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. We see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, he's crying for Krishna. 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan, they're crying. So it is said that the most hard-hearted person, his heart will melt, will be filled with emotion when he hears Ramayana. And that is the goal of bhakti. We want to develop emotions and bhav for Krishna. We want to cry for Krishna. So when we should read Ramayana to invoke these emotions and bhav for the Lord. So that's one perspective, the spiritual understanding of why things happen in Ramayana. And another reason why Lord Ram goes to exile is that he wants to fulfill the promise that he made to Lakshmi Devi. So one time Lakshmi Devi, she was massaging the feet of Lord Narayan and she was looking very morose. So Lord Narayan asks, what is the problem, Lakshmi? What's the problem? So she says, well, I'm very fortunate to do your service, but I'm very dissatisfied. I see that this Ananta Shesh with his millions of hoods is always watching over us. So I don't have the opportunity to serve you in solitude, in privacy. So Lord says that you don't worry. In the future, in the Treta Yuga, when we come as Ram and Sita, then we will have some time away in solitude, where we can roam about in the forest. At that time also, this Ananta Shesh will be there in the form of Lakshman, but he will stay at a distance, and he will give us some privacy. So these are some of the reasons why Lord Ram was exiled. And Lord Ram is Maryada Purushottam. He is showing us with his example of how to be an ideal husband, ideal king, ideal son, ideal brother, like that. So we see that when Lord Ram is told by Dashrath to go to the forest, what is the reaction of Lord Ram? We can learn from that. Lord Ram, he goes first to Kekai, to bring down her animosity and her anger. So Lord Ram says to Kekai, I had always considered you as my mother. I thought that you too had considered me as your son. But today I'm very sad that you never considered me your son. So Kekai, she was expecting this type of a question, because it was unfair for her to send Lord Ram to the forest to make her own son Bharat as a king. So she was preparing to make a counter reply, but then Lord Ram said, well, if you had considered me as your son, you could have asked me directly, to give this kingdom to you. Why did you have to use your two boons? Why did you have to go to my father? You should have come directly to me. So, and then he says, my dear mother, to honor your words, I will immediately proceed to the forest. Please give me your blessings. So we can see this phenomenal behavior of Lord Ram. He's exemplifying someone who's a dhira. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yam hina vyethayantete purusham purusharshabha samadukha sukham dhiram so amritatvaya kalpate. Krishna says that one who's not disturbed by happiness or distress, and he's steady in both, is called a dhira, and he's eligible for liberation. So we see that in his response, Ram, he felt no resentment, no anger, and he had selfless love for his father and mother. So it is a lesson for us that Ram is showing us that we should also become dhira. We should surrender to the plans of the Lord. Whatever Krishna does in our life, because we are a devotee, whatever Krishna does in our life is best for us. So we should surrender to the plans of the Lord, knowing that Lord knows best Lord knows what is best for us. So we should think that now that this situation has been created, how can I use this situation to move closer to Krishna? So devotees, they turn their misfortune into fortune. They use their situation, even if it's a suffering situation, and they try to see how can I get closer to Krishna in this situation. Like Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to become a rich businessman so that he could help in building temples for his Guru Maharaj. And he set up this pharmaceutical business. But we saw that he suffered a great loss. And he did not have money to pay his employees, and he had to borrow money just to get a bus ticket from his friends, like that. So he suffered a great loss in his business. But what was the consciousness of Prabhupada? He said this verse, Yasyaha manugranami harishya tadhanam shanay tato dhanam tajante asya swajana dukha dukhitam. He's quoting this verse from Bhagavatam, where Krishna is saying that if I am especially merciful to someone, I will gradually deprive him of his wealth, and his friends and family members would leave him, and he will suffer one distress after another. So Krishna does all of this to purify his devotees, so that his devotee has no other shelter but the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada then used this situation, in his life. Then he thought that how can I use this situation to get closer to Krishna and fulfill the orders of my Guru Maharaj. So then Srila Prabhupada, he took sannyas. He gave up his family life and he devoted his time to full-time preaching. So then he converted his misfortune into fortune. Same with Parikshit Maharaj. When he was informed of the curse that he would die in 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj gave up everything. He sat on the bank of the Ganges to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a lesson to be learned from Ram's response to him being sent to the forest for exile. And then we see Lakshmana's response. We see how Lakshmana showed unconditional surrender to Lord Ram, and Lord he chose to accompany Lord Ram to the forest. And we see that Lakshman doesn't go with his wife. He doesn't think that, oh, Lord Ram is taking his wife, so let me take my wife also. No, he is going to the forest to serve Ram and Sita as their menial servant. And at Chitrakoot, we see that Sita and Ram they're roaming about in the forest, and Lakshman he's always busy cutting the grass, building the hut, getting the fruits and roots, fighting the demons day and night. And he took a vow that for 14 years I will not sleep. I will serve the Lord day and night. And that one time when Shrupnakha came and attracted by the beauty of Ram, she wanted to marry Lord Ram. But Lord Ram said that I am Ekapatni Vrata. I have taken the vow to marry only one. I take only one wife. So you can go to Lakshman. He is single. You can marry him. So this Shrupnakha then went to Lakshman. And Lakshman asked Shrupnakha, well, do you want to be a queen or do you want to be Dasi, servant? Shrupnakha says, well, I want to be a queen. Lakshman says, well, if you marry me, you will become a Dasi because I'm a Das, I'm a servant. So you'll become a Dasi servant. So you go back to Lord Ram. So Lakshman sent her back to Lord Ram, and then Lord Ram sent her back to Lakshman's. Like she was going back and forth, and she became angry and she decided to attack Sita. So then Lord Ram told Lakshman, you take care of her. Like that. He said, and Lakshman, he performed the ENT surgery. He chopped off Shrupnakha's ears and nose by the order of his brother. And then later on, we see that when Sita gets attracted to the deer, who is the demon Marich, Lord Ram runs after Marich. And when he's hit by the arrow of Lord Ram, the last thing that Marich does, is he calls out in the voice of Ram, Lakshman, help me. Like that, he calls out in the voice of Lord Ram. So Mother Sita, she hears that and she's very worried that Lord Ram is in danger. So she asks Lakshman, go save your brother. But Lakshman says, Mother, you don't need to worry. There is nobody born in the creation of Brahma who can threaten Lord Ram. But Mother Sita says, no, our Ram is in danger. So then Mother Sita, she speaks some harsh words to Lakshman. And she says, Lakshman, I know that you have been in the forest for 13 years, only to find the time when I am alone so you can enjoy me. Is that why you're not going to save your brother? So like that, Lakshman was very much aggrieved by the words of Sita. And he bowed down to Mother Sita. He made the Lakshman Rekha for her protection, and then he went to check out on Lord Ram. And when Lord Ram, he is returning after killing Marich, he sees Lakshman and he starts chastising Lakshman. Lakshman, why did you leave Sita alone? And then when they come back, they see that Sita is missing. So Ram looks at Lakshman and says, well, you are irresponsible. It's all your mistake that Sita is not here. So we see that here Mother Sita was blaming Lakshman for his character. There was a test of integrity. And now Lord Ram is blaming Lakshman for his competency. So imagine that you are in a situation where you have left a kingdom that you're not supposed to leave. You have left your wife, which you're not supposed to leave, for a brother who you have served so menially that you have not had a minute of sleep for 13 years. And then he doubts your ability and Mother Sita doubts your character. So what is there more to continue? But Lakshman, we see that he continues with his service. In fact, he improves and intensifies his service. So when Lord Ram, he's crying for Mother Sita, not understanding what he should do, Lakshman acts as a great counselor. He gives suggestions to Lord Ram, what steps that they can take to find Mother Sita and to not lose hope. And also we see that when Mother Sita was flying through the Pushpak Viman, Ravan was taking her, she dropped some of her ornaments down. And the monkeys, Sugriv and all, they caught those ornaments and they brought it to Lord Ram and asked him if you can take a look at these ornaments, see if they are Sita's ornaments, so it can help in finding her whereabouts. So, Lord Ram says that I cannot look at these ornaments because just thinking that they may belong to Sita is breaking my heart. So, Lakshman, you go and see. So, Lakshman then sees the ornaments and he says, Naham janami keyure, Naham janami kundale, Nupure tvabhijanami, Nityam padabi vandanat. So Lakshman says that, my lord, I don't recognize these necklaces, these armlets. I don't recognize these earrings, but I recognize these ankle bells. Why? Because, my lord, I have worshipped Mother Sita's lotus feet. I have never seen her above her ankles, so I cannot recognize any of the other ornaments. So this is the level of devotional integrity of Lakshman. How many reasons were there for Lakshman to give up the service of Lord Ram and go to Ayodhya? And he could have said, "Oh, enough of this husband-wife business. I am going. Everybody's putting me as they are complaining about me that I did something wrong." So like that, Lakshman never said that. He showed unconditional surrender to the Lord. And Prabhupada said that sometimes we will be misunderstood. Sometimes there will be criticism. People may dishonor us, misunderstand us. Sometimes there may be luxury, and sometimes we may have to live very austerely. But we should be such that external circumstances don't matter. What matters is our service to Krishna should never stop. He wrote this in one letter to Hansaduta. He says that devotees are able to tolerate all kinds of discomforts because they are so much absorbed in serving Krishna that they take no time to become angry or take an offense with others or find some fault in others. So the key here is absorption in our service to Krishna. Then we will not become angry or take an offense if somebody says something to us. So one time somebody asked Jayananda Prabhu. Jayananda Prabhu is the one who helped Prabhupada start the Rath Yatra festival. They asked him, how did you become so advanced? Jayananda Prabhu says, well, I don't know. I'm too busy working to think about it. Means he's so absorbed in his service that he's not thinking how is he becoming advanced. So that should be our absorption. Prabhupada also says that one time everybody was bowing down to Prabhupada and his disciple asked, why is everybody bowing down to you? And Prabhupada says, because I don't have lust. But then later he says, actually, it's not like I don't have lust, I don't have time for lust. So we should be absorbed in our services to Krishna, and then we will not be affected by any of the anarthas. And then we have another lesson. When Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravan, and she was taken to Ashok Vatika in Lanka. In Ashok Vatika, Ravan was trying to impress Mother Sita, trying different techniques to coax her to accept his proposal. And he was telling Mother Sita that, oh, I will make you the principal queen of Lanka. You will enjoy so many things. Sita, you are so beautiful. You're not realizing how time is passing by. Your youth is going to soon fade away. Now is the time to enjoy. I have unmatched power, unmatched vitality. You accept these valuable gifts that I have got for you. Forget the aimless wanderer Ram. He cannot offer anything to you. He won't be able to find you, let alone to rescue you. Submit to me and you enjoy the pleasures of heaven. So like that, he was trying to tempt Sita. But we see that Sita was ignoring all these temptations, and she used to shout at Ravan that, Ravan, these petty gifts that you're offering me, they cannot impress me. Being conquered by Lord Ram's personality, I cannot be tempted by anything of this world. Like sunlight is inseparable from sun, Mother Sita is inseparable from Lord Ram. And I still give you a chance. If you return me to Lord Ram, I will make sure that you will not be burnt by his wrath. So like that, Sita was shouting at Ravan, ignoring all his temptations, and always Sita was remembering the Lord Ram in her heart and always chanting Ram, Ram, Ram while sitting in Ashok Vatika. So we see that Ravan he could not forcibly enjoy Sita. He had so many curses. He had a total of 18 curses Ravan got from different people like Nalkuvera, Vedvati, Ashtavakra Muni, and others. So one devotee was saying that if we accumulate curses in life, the tears that we cause others, that will it will create an ocean that will drown us. So life should not be a collection of curses. Life should be a collection of blessings. So Ravan got all these curses, and he understood that if he forced himself upon a woman, he will instantly die. But Ravan was so charming, so attractive that all the women that he proposed to, they could not resist him because of his charming power. And so his palace was filled with so many women. But Mother Sita, she exemplifies how a devotee is. A devotee is totally attached to his Lord. He is chaste to the Lord. Like one devotee was saying that this Kanthimala that we wear, Tulsi Kanthimala, is our Mangal Sutra. And the tilak that we apply on our forehead is like our sandur. So Krishna, he is the only Purusha. He is the only husband. The rest, everybody is Prakriti, female to be enjoyed by Krishna. And in this, analogy, Ravan represents all kinds of sense gratification that Maya presents us. So many distractions and temptations, telling us, "Oh, there's so many things to enjoy in this world. Your youth is fading away. Time is passing away. Now is the time to enjoy." Like that, Maya presents so many temptations. But a devotee is like Sita, saying no, no to all these proposals. No, I want to remain chaste to Krishna. There is no way that these things are in any way comparable to my Lord Krishna. Like that, a devotee is thinking. And the devotee says that I can give up anything for Krishna. And to attain Krishna, I can give anything. So devotee's mind is always focused on the Lord. The devotee is always thinking of the Lord. Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smriti nityasha tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginam. He's always remembering the Lord, and that's why Krishna says, "I'm easy to obtain for one who always remembers me." And the devotee is Vivasatmika Buddhi. He has resolute determination that I want to go back home, back to Godhead in this one lifetime, and I will not do anything that disrupts this. So we are given so many choices. Every moment is a choice. Between B and D, there is C. Between birth and death, there is C. Choice. Every moment is a choice whether we go closer to Krishna or we choose Maya. Whether we choose Maya or we choose Krishna, there is a choice. When we do things that are unfavorable for our bhakti, right? Breaking of 4 regulative principles, associating with non-devotees, Atyahara, Priyasha, Prajalpo, Niyamagraha, Rupa Goswami says all these activities are unfavorable for our bhakti. And we are moving away from our Lord doing these activities. So all these unfavorable activities, we are making a choice that I'm choosing Ravan over Lord Ram. So how do we get the spiritual strength to say no to Maya and yes to Krishna, and the spiritual strength for us to make the right decisions, to do the discrimination will come by performing devotional service, chanting and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day, associating with strong devotees will become strong and will make the right choices. Also, when temptations, the best way to not fall down is to avoid coming face to face with temptations. So we have the example of Vali in Ramayana, where Vali represents temptations. That's why Lord Ram, he didn't come in front of Vali. He kills Vali from hiding behind a tree, because Vali had a benediction that whoever comes face to face with Vali, he would lose 50% of his strength. So that's what happens when we come face to face with temptations. We become weak, and then we fall down. So if let's say opponent is like, even if we are so powerful, like if an opponent is of strength 100 and Vali is of strength 1, so we see that opponent is very powerful than Vali. But when he will come face to face with Vali, he will lose 50% of his power. So the opponent will become of power 50 and Vali will become 51. So this means that Vali will always be winning. So this means it's the same thing, that when we come face to face with temptations, we become weaker. So if we think that, oh, I can go into that association, where my friends are drinking, but I will not drink. I will watch this thing on the internet. That should be fine. It will not affect me. Nothing will happen to me. Uh, it's the opposite. The devotee is always fearful of his fall down. Mostly devotees fall down because they are overconfident, right? So a devotee is always fearful of getting into situations where he would fall down. So he avoids coming face to face with temptations. He considers himself very weak, and he avoids such situations. So that's what we are learning from Vali here. And then we have Vibhishan. We know that Vibhishan is the younger brother of Ravan. And Vibhishan, he left Ravan and he decided to join Lord Ram's army. And when Vibhishan came to Lord Ram, everybody was thinking that he is Ravan's spy. So Sugriv and all the monkeys, they were saying that we should not trust him, we should kill him, capture him, like that. So then Ram, he asked Hanuman about his opinion. And Hanuman said, Vibhishan, he has taken a great risk to leave Ravan, to come to you, and he's surrendering to you. And when I went to Lanka, he was the only one who was telling Ravan not to kill me. And he was repeatedly telling Ravan to return Sita. And it was only his house that I saw the Tulsi plant, so I didn't burn his house. Rest of the Lanka I burnt. So Vibhishan is a devotee. Lord, please accept him, like that Hanuman was saying. So Ram said, yes, I will accept Vibhishan, and what to speak of Vibhishan, even if Ravan comes and surrenders to me, I will forgive him. And then Ram speaks this verse, which is coming from Valmiki Ramayana Yuddha Kand. Sakradeva prapanno yastavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etad vratam mama. So here Lord Ram is saying that I vow that anybody who surrenders to me and says even once, Lord, from this day on, I am yours. Please accept me. And I will grant him fearlessness, and he will remain safe from that time on. So Lord is saying that even if somebody has done so many sins, so many wrong things in the past, he should not worry. If he just surrenders to me and begs for forgiveness and prays that from this day onwards, I give up all my bad activities, I surrender to you, then I will accept him. I will grant him fearlessness. And then Ram became very ecstatic. He said that I will not just accept Vibhishan, I will announce him the future king of Lanka. So then these monkeys, Sugriv and all, they were saying, oh, that's too much mercy. You're making Vibhishan the king of Lanka. And Ram says, not only that, I will make Ravan also the king if he comes and bows down before me, surrenders to me. Then Sugriv says, what kingdom would you give Ravan? You have already given Lanka to Vibhishan. So Ram says, well, if Ravan comes and surrenders, I will give him the kingdom of Ayodhya. So Sugriv says, well, you have made Bharat the king of Ayodhya. Where would Bharat go then? And Ram says, well, I will give him the kingdom of Vaikuntha. I will make him the king of Vaikuntha. So Sugriv said, my lord, but you are the lord of Vaikuntha. Where would you go if you make Bharat the king of Vaikuntha? So he says, Lord says, well, for me, I will simply live and rule the hearts of my devotees. Like the Lord says in Bhagavatam, Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam, Sadhunam Hridayam Tvaham. Pure devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the heart of my pure devotees. The devotees don't know anything but me, and I don't know anything but them. So Lord Ram wants to just live in the hearts of his devotees. So that is the culture of Lord Ram. Lord Ram's culture is to care and share. And the opposite thing is Ravan's culture, which is to use and throw. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu in his book, Life Lessons from Ramayana, he was writing that, we can see the contrast between Ravan's army and Ram's army. So when they were fighting in Lanka, who had the home ground advantage? It was Ravan and his army. They had the home ground advantage because this fight was happening in Lanka. While the monkeys, and they had come from a far off place, from Kishkinda. And we see that who had sophisticated weapons? It was Ravan's army that had sophisticated weapons. The weapons that monkeys had, they were not using any sophisticated weapons. They were using just like rocks and trees and mountain tops to fight. And who were more in quantity? Ravan's soldiers were more in quantity than the monkey army. And and who had more wealth? Ravan had more wealth. What wealth did Ram have? He pretty much had nothing, and he couldn't feed his monkeys. Monkey soldiers any chappan bhog. Uh, all these monkey soldiers, they were living very austerely, just eating fruits and roots. On the other hand, Ravan and his army, they were being sumptuously fed by the royal cooks of Lanka. And we see how long the monkeys knew Lord Ram. Only few days. But how long did the Rakshasa soldiers knew Ravan? Their entire lifetime. And what did Ram give his soldiers as a payment for their service? Nothing. Lord Ram didn't have anything, so he didn't give them any salary, any remuneration. On the other hand, Ravan's soldiers, they were getting nice things, nice sense, enjoyment, comfortable house, and wealth from him. But we still see that who won the war? Lord Ram won the war because Ram's culture was care and share. We also see that, what wealth, material wealth, did Srila Prabhupada have when he started ISKCON? He had nothing. He brought 40 rupees with him. But we see so many young Americans, they joined him, which Srila Prabhupada would call his dancing white elephants or sometimes his monkey soldiers. So, what did Srila Prabhupada had to give these young Americans in return of the service that they were helping him build the temples and starting ISKCON? Well, nothing materially Srila Prabhupada gave them. But still, we see that they left everything, their family, education, youth, their degrees, all for serving the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada, he deeply cared for them. They saw that Srila Prabhupada, he had no ulterior motives. He deeply cared for them. And Srila Prabhupada had just come to give them, nothing to take anything from them, but just to give them. So, also, same thing in Ramayana, we see that at the end of the day, Ravan's culture, we say, is use and throw. So what he would do at the end of the day was he would throw his dead Rakshas soldiers that had been killed in the fight the previous day. He would throw them in the ocean so that the next morning the monkeys, they would not see the dead soldiers, and so they will be demoralized. Because they're not seeing any Rakshasas dead, so they would think that, nobody was dead. So they would be demoralized. That's what Ravan was thinking. So he didn't care for these dead soldiers and he threw them. But what was Ram doing? At the end of the day, we see that with his own loving hands, Ram is applying medicines to the injured monkeys. And he would pray for the soldiers who had died, and he would perform their last rites, and he would ask for benedictions to revive them. And also we see that Ravan, during the war, he was in his palace sitting comfortably and he was sending so many soldiers to fight like Kumbhakara, Indrajit. But Ram was at the forefront of the war. He was with the soldiers, sleeping and eating with them. So that's the difference between Ram and Ravan. The care and share and use and throw. And that's why everybody wanted, all these monkeys, they wanted to support Lord Ram because of the care that he was showing them and his loving nature. So, and that was a quality that attracted everybody towards Srila Prabhupada. So we see that when Srila Prabhupada, he was sick in his last days of life, he was very sick. But still, he would make sure that the devotees are being taken care of. They're provided nice prasad. And one of the devotees writes in his memory that although Srila Prabhupada was very frail and thin, reduced to skin and bones, but this devotee, he was limping because he had a boil on his leg. So Srila Prabhupada was very concerned and he asked him what happened. And he also suggested, you should apply haldi and neem paste like this. And he asked other devotees to take care of this devotee. And next day, he also checked on this devotee, how he was feeling. So this devotee was feeling very amazed how Srila Prabhupada, although he himself is going through a health crisis, but he's worried about this devotee. So this is the quality of Srila Prabhupada, and this is a quality of Lord Ram that attracted everyone to them. The culture of care and share. And so real preaching is to show care. There is one phrase which says that no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you really want to transform people's life, you have to touch their hearts by your compassion and your care. And that is the best way of preaching. We cannot demand respect. We have to command respect. If we love everyone, then everybody would love us. So, so this we learn from Lord Ram, care and share. And also we see that although Lord Ram was not able to pay anything to the monkey soldiers who helped him recover Sita, but Lord Ram is ever grateful. So Lord Ram in the Dwapar Yug, he comes as Krishna, and those monkey soldiers from the Treta Yug are coming as monkeys in Vrindavan. So now in this incarnation, Krishna, he's giving these monkeys, butter from his own hands as a reciprocation of the service that they had done for him in Treta Yuga. So Prabhupada says that, Lord never forgets anything that we do for him. Whatever service one does for Krishna, Krishna will never forget. He will remember, even if it is very insignificant. Even if one comes to the temple and he turns one screw for Krishna, Krishna will never forget. One holy name that we have chanted, Krishna will never forget. But of course, we should try to do more and more, because Krita Punya Punja, we have to accumulate more and more of our bhakti credits for many, many lifetimes to become eligible to go back home, back to God and serve Krishna there. So we should be greedy to do more and more service, but knowing that Krishna is always watching over me, and none of my service is Krishna will notice, my service. He'll never forget anything that I've done. So another thing is this whole pastime of Ramayana. We can understand how this pertains to our life. That Mother Sita, we see that she gets attracted to the golden deer, and Mother Sita, as we were discussing previously, that all the characters of Ramayana, they are there to teach us a lesson. So Mother Sita represents a conditioned soul here. Lord is trying to teach us a lesson that this us, like these our conditioned souls in this material world, we become attracted to golden things of this world, shiny material things that look like gold, but actually they are like a mirage. It's like a mirage. We see there is water, but actually there is no water. Or Dhruva Maharaj gives the analogy that we see some broken pieces of glass and they are shining from far away. It seems like a diamond, but when you pick them up, then we see that they are useless, broken piece of glass, and also they hurt us. There's bleeding if we pick up the glass pieces. So the things of this material universe, we have been chasing after them. So what happens when we chase after material things of this universe? The first thing that happened is that Lord Ram, he went after that deer, and Sita got separated from Lord Ram. So in the same way, when we chase after things of this material world, we become separated from our Lord. And then where are we? If the Lord has left us, we are with the devotees, because Lakshman was there with Sita when Lord Ram left, which means that when Lord leaves us, then who is there with us? Vaishnavas. But when we become so blind with sense gratification that we come to the point of committing Vaishnava Prad. So like Mother Sita, we heard that she said some sharp words to Lakshman, so Lakshman left her. So when we commit Vaishnava Prad, we hurt the Vaishnavas, then Vaishnavas will leave our association. So then where are we? We are all alone in the forest of the material world, without our Lord, without the Vaishnavas, and we don't have proper power of discrimination. And then we get cheated. So Ravan comes, in his disguise as a sadhu, and he cheats Mother Sita. So in the same way, Ravan represents the 10 senses. Our senses will cheat us in this material world, and they will take us to the forest of Ashok Vatika. So the forest was called Ashok, which means that where there is no distress, but actually that garden was a place of the greatest distress. Mother Sita was very much distressed there, all the time crying. So our senses, uncontrolled senses, will take us to the place of sorrow, a garden of sorrow. But even then, when we are in a distressful situation, if we cry and we remember the Lord of our life, Ram, like Mother Sita was always chanting the name of Ram, Ram will send Guru in our life. Like Hanuman was sent to Mother Sita, Ram will send Guru in our life. And Guru, he jumps over the ocean to save us. Like the Guru, he leaves the spiritual world, he crosses the Virija river, and he comes to the Lanka of this world. And so, like Hanuman, he came to Mother Sita, and what did Hanuman do? He did three things. He spoke about Ram, he spoke Ram Katha, he answered the questions of Mother Sita, and he gave her Ram's ring. So that's what the Guru does when he comes to save us in this material world. He speaks Ram Katha, he gives answers to our questions, and he gives us the ring. And what does this ring represent? It represents the holy name of the Lord. So Hanuman in this story is like Srila Prabhupada, who has come to save all the jivas, the conditioned souls who have become separated from the Lord. And Hanuman, he forgot all his powers when he was a child. He was committing some mischief, so he had forgotten his powers. But who reminded Hanuman of his powers? It was Jambavan. And he reminded Hanuman of his powers. So Hanuman understood that yes, he can cross the Lanka, he can cross the ocean and go to Lanka. So Jambavan in this story represents Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who gave the vision to Srila Prabhupada, who empowered him to go to the West and spread Krishna consciousness. So when Srila Prabhupada, he landed in the Lanka of America, he gave us three things. He gave us Hari Katha, he answered all our questions, removed our doubts, and he gave us the message of the Lord in the form of the ring of the holy name. And then he also engaged all the monkeys, like all of us, to unite other conditioned souls, like Mother Sita, who have become separated from Lord Ram. So this is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that we have gotten this holy name of Ram. So what is the power of the name of Ram? We also see from Ramayana the story of Valmiki Muni, who was Daku Ratnakar in his previous life, and he was robbing and killing people. And one time Narad Muni came and he tried to rob Narad Muni, but Narad Muni says, you don't realize how many sins you are performing, you have to suffer for them. Why are you committing so many sins? And Daku Ratnakar says, well, I'm doing it to maintain my family. But then he says, will your family share your sins? Go ask them. So Daku Ratnakar went to his family, and his family refused to share any of his sins, because they said, well, you have the responsibility to maintain the family. We are not asking you to do these sinful things to maintain. So Daku Ratnakar, he comes back to Narad Muni, fell at his feet, and he asked for a solution to rectify his sins. So Narad Muni, he didn't give him any philosophy. He just asked him to chant the name of Ram. But Valmiki Muni, we see that he was so sinful, so many offenses that he had performed, that he could not chant the name of Ram. So like Jiva Goswami says in his Sandarbha that, if one commits 100 offenses, one will lose truthfulness. He will become hypocritical. He will try to show himself as something that he is not. And if he has committed 1,000 offenses, he cannot perform any austerity. He will not be able to follow the 4 regulative principles. And if he has committed 10,000 offenses, he will lose his ability to perform bhakti. He will become averse to bhakti, that he will not be able to chant the holy name of the Lord. So that's, just like we see in the case of in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prakashananda Saraswati, he's a Mayavad sannyasi, and he's blaspheming Lord Chaitanya, but he cannot say Krishna Chaitanya. He always says Chaitanya. He cannot pronounce the word Krishna because he's very offensive. So like that, Narad Muni, he didn't think that, Daku Ratnakar is so very sinful and offensive. He can't even chant the name of Ram. Narad Muni did not give up on him. Narad Muni is a great preacher. He's very compassionate. So he applied a trick, and he asked Daku Ratnakar to chant the word Mara. Mara means death. Mara, 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 Mara. So as Daku Ratnakar was chanting Mara, 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 for 60,000 years he chanted, and Mara, Mara automatically becomes Ram, Ram, because it's circular. So he chanted the Ram Nam for 60,000 years. And in very short time, he was chanting the name of Ram purely. And Narad Muni came one time in that area, and he heard who's chanting this name of Ram so purely. So he traced it down to an ant hill. And with his water in his kamandlu, he dissolved the anthill and he found that his disciple Ratnakar was absorbed in meditation, chanting the name of Ram. So Daku Ratnakar, he fell at the feet of Narad Muni, and Narad Muni blessed him with the name Valmiki. Valmiki means a sage who has emerged from an anthill. So we see that Valmiki, he became such an elevated devotee by chanting the name of Ram, and because he had the mercy of Narad Muni, he was ultimately able to see all the pastimes of Sri Ram. All the pastimes of Lord Ram were revealed to him that he wrote in the form of book Valmiki Ramayana. So we see that when we chant the name of Ram, name will come Roop, Gun and Leela, the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, and all of his pastimes will be revealed to us. And all transcendental knowledge of all the Shastras will be revealed to us in our heart when we chant the name of when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and ultimately we'll be able to see those pastimes and enter into those pastimes to serve the Lord. We see that when monkeys were building the bridge to Lanka, they were writing the name Ram on the stones, and the stones were floating. So like that, if we chant the name of the Hare Krishna mantra, this material world, which is an ocean of miseries, we will float on this material ocean and we'll be able to cross it very easily, like one steps over the hoofprint of a calf. We'll be able to float. But if we don't chant the holy name, we'll drown in this ocean of material world. And we see Hanuman, he's always chanting the name of Ram. What is the quality of Hanuman that allows him to chant the name of Ram always? There's one pastime where Hanuman goes to Mother Sita to rescue her. Mother Sita says to Hanuman, well, you cross the ocean. Flying across the ocean is not an easy task. You must be very powerful, like Garuda or Vayu. So Hanuman says, well, let me assure you, Mother, in the entire monkey army, there is not even one monkey who is less than me in abilities. All are equal to me or better than me. Their wisdom is deep. Their proficiency in wielding any sort of weapon is marvelous, and their loyalty towards Lord Ram is impeccable. Lord Ram has picked me for this errand of delivering the message to you because he considers me the lowest in the cadre and fit as a messenger. Naturally, no king wants to risk their most competent men for such duties. So we can see the humility of Hanuman. He's considering himself the lowest, most fallen, and he's seeing good qualities in others, that he's seeing that others are so much more advanced than me, and he's focusing on their good qualities. And then Mother Sita says, well, I have seen you change your size. I'm confused. What is your real size? And Hanuman says, I'm always small, but by God's grace, I can turn bigger in size when needed. God's power is great. Therefore, I can grow big by taking shelter in him. Otherwise, I'm always small. So here we see that Hanuman, he understands that all his power and abilities are coming from the Lord. So we should understand that whatever we are able to do is from the mercy of Krishna. We can't even move one finger of our hand if it was without the mercy of Krishna. So we should not become proud and always be the humble servant of the servant, taking shelter in Krishna's name, and then we can become an instrument in the hands of Krishna and then Krishna can do great things through us. Like when Srila Prabhupada was coming to America, in the Jaladuta, he wrote that prayer where he's saying that, oh Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. Please make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. You make me speak in such a way that the suffering of the people will be relieved. Like that, Prabhupada was saying, you please use me as a puppet, as an instrument to perform your will, whatever Krishna wants to perform. So like that, we can do great things if we have a humble service attitude. Krishna can use us to do great things. So these were some of the lessons that we can learn from Ramayana, and this is a summary of the different lessons that we covered. The three aspects of the pastimes of Lord Ram. One is to teach us the lesson. And Lord Ram, he comes to the material world to reciprocate with his devotees and to glorify his devotees. And he also wants to give us Vipralamba Bhav. So we develop emotions for him. And we saw the quality of Lord Ram as Dhira, how he responded to the situation where he was being sent to the forest. And he converted his misfortune into fortune. And we saw Lakshmana's unconditional surrender. No matter what happened, people criticized him, but he never left the service of Lord Ram. And Ravan, how he was enticing Sita with different temptations. But Sita is like a steady devotee who is saying no to Maya and yes to Krishna. And we understood from Vali how not to come face to face with temptations. So we avoid our fall down. And we saw Vibhishan surrender and Lord's promise to him that anybody who comes to him once and surrenders, say, Lord, from this day on, I'm yours, Krishna will accept us. And we saw how Ravan had the policy of use and throw, while Ram's policy was care and share. That's why monkeys wanted to be in Lord Ram's army, and Lord Ram won the war because of his compassionate nature. And Ram is ever grateful. He would never forget any service that we do for him. And we saw the analogy where, like Mother Sita is separated from Lord Ram, or we being the conditioned souls are separated from our Lord. But when we cry and chant the name of Ram, Guru will come in our life, like Hanuman, and give us the ring of the holy name. We saw the power of the holy name through Valmiki example and the floating stones, and the quality by which we can chant the holy name of it incessantly. And we talked about Hanuman's humility. So I will stop here. If anybody has any questions and comments.
Thank you. Very nice class on the lessons, authentic lessons from Ramayana. Very beautifully presented.
Hare Krishna Mataji, very nice class.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, very nice class.
Thank you.
Mataji, a couple of questions. One is about Ravan. So in some lectures, I heard Ravan. He was aware of the philosophy. Philosophy meaning that is there. This is life is temporary. I am not a body. I am a soul. But however, we see his behavior, which is purely demoniac, which is that we can see. So, question is it association is the reason that contributed to Ravana's behavior as a demoniac? That is question one. And question two is his brother Bibhishan. So he was always a resident of Lanka, right? At least in his pastime, that particular lifetime, and but always within the midst of all the demons, demoniac mentality. However, he remained unaffected. So what caused him to take and keep his devotion strong without any association? So that was like little I was thinking about these two questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as we said, these pastimes happen, there are multiple perspectives. Ultimately, we know that Ravan is, Jay and Vijay from the spiritual world. They have come to fight with the Lord to fulfill his desires. Vireras, right? So that's why he's showing his demoniac character. But we also see that Ravan, Hiranyakashipu, they all very well versed in scriptures, but they're behaving demoniacally, which Krishna is trying to show us a lesson here that knowing the scriptures is not enough. And we heard that when one becomes offensive, they become hypocritical. They lose their truthfulness. They show themselves something that they're not. So hypocrisy comes when we commit offenses. So knowing the scriptures is not enough. We have to implement and realize those scriptures in our life. That was one thing I was thinking. And the other thing about Vibhishan, yeah, like Prabhupada was like Vibhishan who came to America and he was the only devotee, right? Because somebody who's strong, he can survive without association of devotees. We should not think that we can survive without the association of devotees, but there are pure devotees who can do that because they have full faith in the, they're chanting the holy name. So they're associating with Krishna. That purifies them. They're associating with their guru. So Prabhupada said that I was never alone. Krishna and my guru Maharaj are always with me. Somebody asked, you're all alone. And Prabhupada says, well, it's only time separating me from, there are temples, there are books, everything is there, only time is separating, and I'm not alone. My Guru Maharaj and Krishna are always there with me. So the pure devotees, they feel Krishna's presence, and the instructions of their guru is what gives them the strength to continue. That was Vibhishana. I don't know the background of Vibhishana, how he became a devotee amongst all the other demons, but like Prahlad was also a devotee amongst all the other demons. I'm not sure how he became a devotee. There must be some previous past life. Or anybody else wants to add anything on this question, Prabhuji?
How Vibhishan became a devotee? He, he,
Yeah, and how he's, yeah, he Vibhishan was always chanting the name of Ram, right? Somehow he knew that. So Amarendra Prabhu said he had written Ram, Ram, Ram everywhere on his walls. And when Ravan came once, he was like became very angry at Vibhishan and said, "How are you chanting the name of my enemy?" But then Vibhishan was very smart. He said, "No, I'm not chanting Ram's names. I'm chanting Ra for Ravan and Ma for Mandodari. So I'm chanting you and Mandodari's name." Like that, he applied that trick. But he's always chanting the name of Ram. So he was, and he had the Tulsi plant, we heard. So he was a devotee. How did he become devotee? That I don't know.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Uh, so you want to add anything for that? How this Ravan knew the scriptures, but he did not behave according to scriptures.
Wasn't Ravan born like a Brahmin? Or he
Yeah.
was born like as a.
Yes, Prabhuji, he was a Brahmin and
I think it was
um,
from some marriage that was not like.
He was Diti's son. No, that was Hiranyakashipu.
Some.
they were the grandson of sage Pulastya, one of the Prajapati.
Hmm, I mean, of course, we don't say Brahmin by birth, but I think he was born from a rishi and a lady who was not Rakshas, kind of. So,
Their father was a rishi too, Vaishrava, and so
father,
was the grandfather for Raman and Vibhishan. So they came from that, the rishi uh,
yeah, father
background.
was on one side, right? Like on rishi side, and the mother was not, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Mother was the Kaikasi Rakshasi.
But did he get some association with somebody and he became like a demon? We have to see the history of Ravan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is true, but they're saying his mother Kaikasi actually advised Vibhishan to go and serve Ram, who was at that time assembling an army to defeat Ravana and to recover his wife.
Okay, and as you were saying, they were Jai Vijay, so from the spiritual world, so they were acting like that also. But is there any pastime where you don't know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll find out and see how Vibhishan became a devotee. But them knowing the scriptures and not behaving properly. That is the characteristic of demons in this world, right? I mean, they like Indra also is kind of like, he introduced this cheating. He's in the dress of a sannyasi, but he's stealing things. So hypocrisy is the quality of this Kali Yuga also.
Hiranyakashipu also speaks nice philosophy when Hiranyaksha is dead and he is trying to console. That time Hiranyakashipu is speaking very nice philosophy of difference between body and the soul, but
Mhm.
his heart is still seeking revenge against God, right, Vishnu? So
Mhm.
knowing philosophy is one thing, and I mean, speaking is one thing, and then we said talking is one thing, and then walking the talk is another thing. So how deeply you believe in what you say also, that's also another, aspect. Whatever we say, but do we really actually, in our heart, do we believe this? So that's to the extent you believe it, then to that extent you would like to, you will follow it. And even if you can't follow it, you will feel, yes, I am not up to the mark. I need to follow. So you will not rationalize and say, no, no, this is. So Kali Yuga, we want to make, there is hypocrisy, as you were saying, yeah, there's show off. So, so we have to accept in our heart.
Yeah, and so many sadhus are there that are speaking so nicely, quoting from scripture so that they get a bigger audience, but in their personal life, they're doing all these demonic things.
Right. Yeah.
So they're saying Vibhishan prayed to Brahmaji and he gave him a boon. He begged that the deity to always set his mind on the path of righteousness, and he never gets shaken off it. So he had the
Yeah,
boon of Brahma.
all three of them did tapasya, right? Ravan, Kumbhakarna, or four of them,
Yeah,
Shurpanakha and Vibhishan. Ravan, he said that I should not be killed by any
yeah,
humans or like that. He did not mention animals in there because he was too proud, too overconfident. He said, "How can animals or monkeys kill him?" So he asked for a boon. He should not be killed by any other weapons, like same as Hiranyakashipu, and humans. But he forgot to mention monkeys or like animals, I think. So that became the reason for his being killed, the monkeys. And Kumbhakaran, he wanted Indrasan. So he wanted Brahma to give him Indrasan, but Indra sent Saraswati to his tongue. So instead of
mm,
Indrasan, he asked for Nidrasan. So he was always sleeping. And Shrupanaka also, I don't know what she asked for, but Vibhishan asked to give him devotion to Lord Ram with all his
right.
tapasya.
Okay. So anything else?